Hi everybody, I hope you're all doing really well. Back today to talk about Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. Yet another Christmas romance that I've read this year. In this we are following our two main characters, and I feel like it's really important before we go further for you to know that these two characters, their two respective mothers, were in a band together and their relationship absolutely soured, went horribly wrong, the band split up, they went off and had their children, and so a lot of press attention has been on these two children, comparing them since they were young. And what are the names of these two children? The children of two rock stars. I feel like it's really important for me to let you know that their names are Melody and Beat. Okay, we're doing this. So yes, as I say, Melody and Beat, because of the separation of the band, because their two mothers hate each other, they have always led separate but still interlinked lives because of the way that the press put attention on both of them and like to compare them. We find out from Melody's perspective that she and Beat met once when they were 16. They had a really good, positive interaction and have not seen each other since, not even been in contact with each other. But this one great experience when they were 16 has led to mutual pining, with Melody absolutely idolising Beat, and Beat evidently just thinking, oh, Melody, she's not like the other girls. Yeah, first issue that I had with this. You're both very clearly interested in the other, but had zero contact for 14 years, when you have every opportunity, and because of the immense amount of privilege that you have, all of the resources that you would ever need to be able to be in each other's vicinity, and yet you chose not to. Okay, but as I say, 14 years later, they are thrust back together because a television producer is really interested in getting the band back together, in forcing a reunion that will take place on Christmas Eve. And in order to facilitate that, they are basically getting Beat and Melody together to entrap their parents. And it will basically be a live documentary that is streamed on social media of the two of them working together to get their respective mothers to cooperate in order to do this Christmas Eve performance. These two are very different. Melody is very introverted, pretty unsure of herself, likes to keep out of the spotlight. Beat, however, is dripping in charisma, really able to command the attention of a room and get people to do what he wants, and he slowly but surely is able to get Melody a bit more out of her shell. And it very quickly becomes clear, not just to themselves but I think to everybody who is watching, that the real relationship of interest is not between their two mothers, but actually the relationship between Melody and Beat, which is very clearly of opposites attracting. The two of them are very protective of one another, despite the fact that, as I say, they have not been in each other's vicinities for 14 years, they only met once that one time, but it's very clear that these two have just sort of a magnet pull towards each other, that they are very at ease in each other's company, and the more time that they are spending together, the closer they are getting. And yeah, for me, this is one of the weaker Christmas romances that I've read. I mean, for starters, despite the fact that we do have this arbitrary deadline of Christmas Eve for the performance, it is otherwise not a very Christmassy book. Just occasional references splattered around, but otherwise not enough for my taste. Give me more, please, Tessa Bailey. I was also struggling to give you much of a plot because really that is it. It is basically just these two trying to get their respective parents to cooperate to go on stage with each other, all the while they fall in love and everybody is watching. There is a bit of a subplot in the reason that Beat is so intent on getting them back together is obviously these two are going to be paid, and there is a whole like blackmail scandal. Beat's being blackmailed, we're wanting to find out why. He's going to use this money to pay off the blackmailer, but really it pops up every now and then, obviously is in the climax, but otherwise isn't really a very interesting part of the book. Really the majority of this is spent on the insta-love, the infatuation between these two characters, and to be honest, I found it quite unrealistic and quite grating. As I say, there's no build-up. They meet each other at 16, are really attracted to each other, do nothing about it for 14 years. They pop up again at age 30. Despite the fact that they have gone through 14 years of being very different people and living very different lives, the attraction is still there like they are 16. We don't know why they are attracted to each other, they just are. There's just this magnetic pull. You know, it's kind of hinted that because their mothers were so close, then obviously they must be too. But otherwise, it's not really very clearly defined. I also just wish that Melody showed a little bit more personality. She's just kind of shy and helpless most of the book. And I'm saying that as somebody who is a fervent defender of fellow shy, quiet girls in literature, but she was just a bit bland. There wasn't really much to her. She has a bit of an awkward sense of humour and she says some kind of silly things, but I don't buy that it is so quirky and so humorous that the entire internet is falling in love with her. You very much get the sense that she is a pretty boring person leading a very isolated life, and that is all that she would have been without Beat kind of swooping in to save her from her boring, dreary life. And yeah, I just wanted a female protagonist who had just a bit more about her. I'm not asking for a complete personality makeover, just give me a little bit something more. I really like that there was some sort of hint and a tiny bit of exploration on how women are typically treated much poorer than men in the media and tend to be hit with most of the criticism criticism. At the beginning, it's discussed how Beat and Melody are basically the same thing. They are children of two rock stars, but Beat is given a lot more admiration and a lot more grace than Melody is. She is seen as a disappointment for not following in her mother's footsteps and basically verbally harassed by the press media. And I do wish that had been drawn out a bit more, because I do think it's a really interesting plot, but it kind of gets dropped very early on. I like the themes of getting out of the shadow of your parents and becoming your own person, but ultimately this was just a bit of a weak romance for me, with not enough going on around the corners of a very manufactured, very insta-lovey romance. And as I say, it's meant to be a Christmas romance, and there's barely any Christmas in it. What gives? So there we go. Those are my slightly more negative feelings about Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. I've read one of a Tessa Bailey before, which was, I think, Set Her Up, and I wasn't really a big fan of that either. So do let me know, are there any Tessa Baileys that you really love? Do you think I should give her another chance? Or are they all kind of much of a muchness? I would love to hear from you. I hope you're having a fantastic, fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.